And obviously, it's all been paying off because earlier this year you've had a really successful fundraising round.
Mhm.
And I know that's no mean feat, of course, and can be an incredibly stressful time. So, what was it like for you, and what advice would you give to other leaders going through a fundraising process right now?
Don't fundraise in a pandemic. I guess that's that's my like first advice. If there's a global pandemic, I mean, just find another time. Um, so yeah, I mean that said, oftentimes you don't have a choice. And I think we found ourselves in that space as well. Is we were fundraising, and then the Corona crisis hit. And frankly speaking, I think the first wave, which happened in March, was the worst because nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew how bad this was going to be. Um, so it was a tough time for everybody, and I'm really proud of my team that we were able to successfully fundraise despite an apparent global meltdown. Um, Look for fundraising in the ag tech space. It's not easy because there's not a whole lot of specialist funds, and depending on what industry and sector you're in, um, your funding strategy changes. So if you're a marketplace, for instance, and you're working in the ag tech space, it's a little bit easier because a lot of the VCs and investors can relate to marketplaces. Sure, you're working in the agriculture space, but you're a marketplace. But the more specific you get towards farming, um, the avenues for fundraising then become slightly more complicated because you have less and less specialists in specific sectors and specific types of farming. And your best friend is execution. So if your numbers and your execution can talk for themselves, um, then that's an easy story to tell as well. And we're very execution focused at Connecterra, not pretty execution focused. And I think that was one of the key drivers for us to land successful fundraise within the pandemic because we have the evidence and the path that we're on. You fuel it, and it continues to grow.
Fantastic. No, go ahead. It sounded like I stopped you in mid-flow then. So,
Uh, well, I think I kind of covered that. I mean, I could go on forever about fundraising and how it's different for different stages and how it's different in the US and Europe. But yeah, you'll have to stop me at some point on that.